So let's continue with Article 176, which is manufacturing and possession of instruments for falsification. So the following are the punishable acts. Number one, making or introducing into the Philippines any stamps, dies, marks, or other instruments or implements for counterfeiting or falsification. Second is possessing with intent to use them. So, meaning ng ito is if you keep, no, or you introduce or magdala ka ng mga instruments or kagamitan na pang-forge, so you will be liable under Article 176. Or second is by mere possession, no, of instruments or implements for counterfeiting with intent to use them, then liable ka under paragraph 2, no, of Article 176. So example here is owning a forged seal making machine. So nakay machine pang forge, no? Bawal yan, no, under 176. People versus Palacios, GR numbers L-27810, June 27, 1975. The accused possessed tools for forging official seals. So is mere possession punishable? The answer is yes, no? If intent to use for falsification is proven. Let's go to 177, usurpation of authority or official function. So there are two offenses, no, under this article. Number one, usurpation of authority. So how is this committed? By knowingly and falsely representing oneself to be an officer, agent, or representative of any department or agency of the Philippine government or any foreign government. So example nito is you are representing yourself as a police officer pero sa totoo hindi ka naman police officer. So that is usurpation of authority. Second is usurpation of official functions, performing any act pertaining to any person in authority or public officer of the Philippine government or of a foreign government or any agency thereof under pretense of official position and without being lawfully entitled to do so. So here, hindi ka lang nag-usurp ng authority, pati official functions na usurp mo. Meaning to say, parang ano ba, yung usurpation of authority kasi parang nag-represent ka lang na police officer ako, pero yung totoo hindi. Pero hindi ka naman nag-function as police officer. So yan yung usurpation of authority. Hindi necessary na you act or you usurp the official function. Like for example, mag-serve ka ng warrant of arrest, hindi mo necessary ginawa yon under the first offense, usurpation of authority. For so long as you misrepresent, no, you knowingly and falsely represent as someone who is from the government, then liable ka na under the first offense. But for the second offense, there is a need for you to perform official function para malayable ka under the second offense, no? Dapat mag-usurp ka ng official function. So, that's the second offense, no, under Article 177. So, example here for usurpation, no, is pretending to be a police officer to arrest someone. So, case in point, People versus Simon, GR number 93028, July 29, 1992. The accused here posed as NBI agent and conducted an arrest. So, ito siya is usurpation of authority and official functions kasi he already performed the act, no, the act of an NBI agent. So mura na siya nag-act na gyud siya as NBI agent, so nana usurpation of official functions. Is impersonation punishable under Article 177? The answer is yes. It erodes public trust in authority. Baka niyan, next time, no, wala nang maniwala sa ating mga law enforcement officers, no, kung we allow impersonation, no, or usurpation of authority. Article 178 is using fictitious name, yung mga alias. So the elements are, number one, use of a name other than one's own name. So, kumbaga, gamit ka ng alias, no? Yung name na hindi mo naman name. Second is he or she uses such name publicly, meaning you inform the people na ito yung name mo, which is hindi naman pala. Or yan yung ginagamit mo na name sa public. Number three is for any of the following purpose. Number one, it's either you want to conceal a crime, mayroon kang krimen para makonceal mo yung identity mo, so you used a fictitious name. Number two, evade the execution of a judgment, no, para hindi ma-execute yung judgment against you. Third, to cause damage to public interest. Example, using another person's name in a legal transaction. So, hindi yung totoo mong name yung ginamit mo, name ng ibang tao. Kaya, it's very important, no, when you enter into a legal transaction, required talaga yung valid identification card, no? Government issued card. Case People versus Castañeda, GR number L-15972, June 30, 1962. The accused here signed contracts using a fictitious name to avoid liability. So, punishable ba siya under Article 178? The answer is yes, because it is deceitful and prejudicial, and all the elements are complied with. Another punishable act here under Article 178 is concealing true name. So ano ang kaibahan ng using fictitious name at concealing true name? Yung sa fictitious name, using fictitious name, required dun ang element of publicity. Meaning, yan talaga yung sinasabi mo sa ibang tao, public, na pangalan mo, na fictitious name mo. Hindi mo naman totoong pangalan. Pero yung concealing true name is hindi mo sinabi sa iba, sa public, na ito yung name ko. Pero, tinatago mo yung totoo mong identity or totoo mong pangalan. Okay? So, the elements are, the offender conceals his true name and all other personal circumstances. Second, the purpose is only to conceal his identity. And take note here, the element of publicity is not required in this offense, no? Unlike in using fictitious name. Kasi sa using para siyang positive act kasi siya. Kasi you use ginamit mo para yan ang pinakilala mo sa iba. So, positive act, di ba? So, kailangan yung publicity. Pero yung concealing, parang passive ka lang, meaning negative act siya, you did not disclose lang your true name. So, take note that we have a special law, no, which is Republic Act number 6085, which regulates the use of aliases. No, under this law, it is prohibited, no, to use a name that is not registered, no, in the local civil registrar or in the Bureau of Immigration, or a name that is not authorized by the court. Because sometimes kasi merong mga tao na iba yung name nila sa birth certificate, iba din yung name talaga na ginagamit nila sa, let's say, school records, sa baptismal, etc. So yan siya, nagpa-file sila ng petition in court na i-allow sila to use yung name na always nila ginagamit, no, instead of the name reflected in the birth certificate. Kumbaga, ipapakorek nila yung birth reflect the name that they accustomed to use, di ba? Since birth. So, may mga ganun, no, na even if hindi yun yung name mo sa birth, pero since the court allowed you to make use of your name na, na ginagamit mo sa lahat ng record mo, then pwede mo siyang gamitin. Hindi siya violation, no, of RA 6085. Pero kung talagang hindi siya authorized ng court, hindi din siya registered sa LCR, at hindi din sa Bureau of Immigration, then magiging liable ka under RA 6085. Article 179 is illegal use of uniform or insignia. So elements, use of uniforms or insignia without authority. Second, intent to mislead or deceive. Example, wearing a military officer's uniform without being in service. So, People versus Corpus, GR number L-14042, January 30, 1960. Here, the accused wore police uniform to enter restricted premises. So, is this punishable? The answer is yes, because it can mislead, no, others about authority. So parang napanood ko to sa mga movies, no, na yung ano, yung undercover, di ba? So illegal use of uniform, papanggap ka na you are a police officer, tapos suot mo yung uniform, then you'll be liable under Article 179. Tapos, aside from that, kung you misrepresent, no, or you falsely represent, no, as a public official or a police officer or military officer, as the case may be, then you will also be held liable, no, for usurpation of authority or of official functions. So, dalawa yung maging liability mo. The question is, pwede ba yun? Yes, pwede, no? Iba't ibang article yung magiging charge natin. Article 180, false testimony against a defendant. So the elements are as follows: testifying falsely under oath, meaning nakapanumpa, no, in a criminal case against a defendant, and the offender knows of such falsity, na hindi totoo yung kanyang testimony against the defendant. And third is that the defendant was either acquitted or convicted in a final judgment. Example, witness lying under oath to frame an accused, no, para mabaling sa iba yung sisi, no, na siya yung gumawa pero yung totoo hindi naman pala. Now, case here is People versus Sabinas, GR number L-19928, July 31, 1965. Here, the witness gave fabricated statements leading to wrongful conviction. Is false testimony punishable? Yes, no? As it endangers justice, no? Meaning, mapuput to jail yung mga tao na innocent, no? Because of your false testimony. So, what is false testimony? This is committed by a person who, being under oath and required to testify as to the truth of a certain matter at a hearing before a competent authority, shall deny the truth or say something contrary to it. So, kumbaga, bakakon, no? Namakak siya, no? Nagsinungaling siya under oath, meaning nanumpa siya na sabihin niya ang totoo pero hindi niya sinabi ang totoo. That's false testimony. So, merong kabaliktaran sa Article 180, no? Itong Article 181, false testimony favorable to the defendant. So, kung matanong nyo na bakit i-punish natin, no? Kasi fact remains that the offender has given a false testimony. What is punishable here is the giving or the test if you testify and you give false testimony, regardless if that is against or in favor of the defendant. Kasi nga, offenses, no, are considered infractions against the state. So merong interest yung public, no, the public has an interest na dapat when you're presented in court, you should tell the truth, no? So, anyone na mag-falsely testify under oath should be held criminally liable. So, what are the elements here? Number one, testifying falsely in favor of the defendant. Siguro para ma-acquit siya, di ba? Para hindi maangkin yung hustisya, no? Para sa biktima. Second is if this is given or done in a criminal case. Example, a witness lying to acquit a guilty party. People versus Fardo, GR number 45763, October 25, 1938. The witness here falsely testified that the accused was elsewhere during the crime. Is favorable false testimony punishable? The answer is yes, because truth is essential in court. Okay, Article 182, false testimony in civil cases. So earlier we discussed about false testimony, in criminal cases. It's either against or favorable to the defendant. But here, if you give false testimony in a civil case, so first, what is a civil case? This is an action, no, between uh, individuals uh, about their private relations. No, unlike in criminal cases, those are actions that are considered infractions, no, against the state. So ang kalaban mo yung government. But here in civil cases, private persons lang yung nag-aaway dito. So, yung parties. So, if you falsely testify in a civil case and that testimony is related to the issues presented in the case, meaning to say, importante or material or relevant yung false testimony para ma-resolve yung case. Third is that you know that the testimony is false, hindi totoo. And fourth, the testimony must be malicious and given with an intent to affect the issues presented in the case. Kumbaga, sinadya mong magbigay ng false testimony para manalo ka, for example, sa kaso, or para ma-influence mo yung desisyon ng korte. So, example is lying under oath in a property dispute. Example case here is US versus Reyes, GR number 1118, October 17, 1903. The witness here fabricated ownership records in a land case. So, does this constitute false testimony? Of course, yes, no? Because of Article 182, no? Even in civil cases, if you give false testimony, you will be held criminally liable. So, na-mention natin kanina yung criminal case, civil case. Paano kung admin case, administrative case, or ano, ibang proceedings or special proceedings? So, saan mag-fall yan siya, no? In case na merong false testimony. So, kung outside criminal tsaka civil, ilagay mo siya sa Article 183, false testimony in other cases and perjury. So, what are the elements here? Giving false statement under oath in cases not covered, no, by the preceding articles, or making a false affidavit upon a material matter. So take note of the term material matter. We will define it later, no? The statement or affidavit was made before a competent officer authorized to receive and administer oath. So sino ba yung mga officers authorized to administer oath? You have the President of the Philippines, di ba? You have the governor, the mayors, the punang barangay with respect to their territorial jurisdiction only, notary public. So, maraming mga competent officers, no, nasa batas yan kung sino-sino yung authorized to administer oath. In the statement or affidavit, the accused made a willful and deliberate assertion of a falsehood. So, sinabi niya doon sa statement or nilagay niya sa kanyang affidavit na isang statement na hindi naman totoo at alam niya na hindi totoo. Fourth is the sworn statement or affidavit containing the falsity is required by law. So, if all the elements are present, then you will be charged under Article 183. Example, lying in a sworn affidavit for a loan application. Okay? Ang isang example niyan is, kunyari, yung affidavit of non-pendency of administrative action, di ba? Like, wala ka daw mga administrative cases na pending, etc. Tapos, nag-execute ka ng affidavit, pero yung totoo, meron ka palang pending. So, that can be subject of Article 183, no? Perjury yan siya, no? If you make a false affidavit. US versus Estrania, GR number 1158, November 19, 1903. The accused here swore to false facts in an administrative complaint. So, nilagay niya sa admin complaint niya, puro kasinungalingan. Ayan. So, magiging liable siya for perjury. Is perjury punishable under Article 183? The answer is yes, as long as oath was lawfully administered. Basta under oath, ha, before a competent officer. Kung hindi naman under oath yung document, then you will not be liable under Article 183. So I mentioned earlier about material matter. So ano ba yung ibig sabihin nito? It is the main fact which is the subject of the inquiry or any circumstances which tends to prove the fact or any fact or circumstance which tends to corroborate or strengthen the testimony relative to the subject of inquiry or which legitimately affects the credit of any witness who testifies. So, maging liable ka lang ng perjury or false testimony in other cases kung yung false testimony mo is on a material matter. Meaning to say, necessary siya. Like for example, sa admin case, necessary siya na matter para ma-resolve yung case. Para makadecide yung judge or yung jury, for example. So, kapag yun na fact, yung nag-false testimony ka doon for that particular circumstance or fact na necessary para sa consideration sa case, then you will be held liable under Article 183. Pero, kung hindi naman on the material matter, whether magsabi ka ng totoo o hindi on that particular fact, hindi siya makakaapekto sa desisyon ng korte, desisyon ng judge, then walang problema. You will not be held liable under Article 183. So, yan ang ibig sabihin ng material matter. Now, related pa rin sa false testimony, Article 184, offering false testimony in evidence. So, elements, offering the testimony of a witness known to be false. The offer was made in a judicial or official proceeding with the intent to influence the outcome of the case. So, example, you present a bribed witness in trial, no? Yung binayaran mo na witness, no, para mag-testify lang talaga siya. So, that is an example of this particular article. People versus Divina Gracia, GR number 13820, November 29, 1960. The lawyer here knowingly presented a false witness in a criminal case. So, punishable ba? The answer is yes, because it will undermine judicial integrity. Paano kung maniwala si judge, di ba? So, it will affect the outcome of the case. Hindi pala siya, false pala siya na witness, no? Hindi pala siya totoo na merong personal knowledge, no, of the facts that are needed, no, for the resolution of the case. Machinations in public auctions, Article 185. So ano ito? The following are punishable acts, no? Number one, by soliciting any gift or promise as a consideration for refraining from taking part in any public auction. So alam niyo yung public auction, ginagawa yan, for example, like sa pag-ibig, kung merong mga properties na hindi nabayaran ng mga debtors nila, like yung housing, di ba? In-offer nila yan for public auction. So, open to public yan, kahit na sino pwedeng maka-join. So, minsan, merong mga ginagawa yung iba na bayaran na lang nila yung iba para hindi na sila magsali sa public auction. So, bigyan nila ng gift or any promise, no, para hindi na sila magsali. So, that is soliciting any gift, no. So, or pwedeng sila yung manghingi. Tagay na lang ko kay para bigyan mo na lang ako para hindi na ako magsali sa public auction. So, you will be held liable, no, under Article 185, di ba? Second is by attempting to cause bidders to stay away from an auction by threats, gifts, promises, or any other artifice. So, example nito yung sa procurement, no? Procurement, di ba sa government, lahat dumadaan sa Bids and Awards Committee. Meaning to say, merong proseso sa pagbili ng mga goods, ng mga or even yung construction ng mga buildings, kailangan binibidding yan. So, dapat i-open yan sa public, sino yung gustong mag-bid. So, dapat tanggapin. Ngayon, if you will attempt, no, to cause bidders to stay away, like for example, takutin sila or bayaran na lang yung mga ibang bidder para hindi na siya mag-bid doon sa project, then yan ay punishable act, no, under Article 185, no, because parang unfair kasi siya, no, parang hindi na siya open, no, yung essence na dapat open siya sa public, dapat free for all siya, pero hindi na naging free for all. So that's Article 185. Okay, there are two acts, di ba, yung na-enumerate natin earlier. So, meron silang kanya-kanyang elements, no? For the first act, the elements are as follows. Number one, that there be a public auction, of course, no? Kasi public auction yung pinag-uusapan. Second, the accused solicited any gift or a promise from any of the bidders. So, nanghingi siya. Nanghingi siya ng gift or promise, no, sa ibang bidders. Third is for the purpose of refraining from taking part in that public auction. Meaning to say, nanghingi siya ng promise or gift para hindi na siya magsali. Fourth is with intent to cause the reduction of the price of the thing auction. Kasi yung sa public auction kasi, 'di ba? Highest bidder 'yan. Kung sino yung pinakamataas um, na price na maibigay, siya yung mananalo. Kung if public auction, 'di ba? So, yun ang mananalo kung sino yung mas may pinakataas. So, kung wala nang ibang competitor, then yung tendency, hindi ganun kataas yung price, yung ibibid na price. Kasi nag-collude na yung mga bidders. So, madidefeat yung purpose ng public auction. Kaya bawal siya. Now, the case in point here is People versus Ventura, GR number L-19731, April 30, 1965. Here, the accused conspired with others to manipulate bidding at a government auction. Is this punishable? The answer is yes, no, because it prejudices public funds. Okay, this is our last article under Title 4, Article 186, or the monopolies and combinations in restraint of trade. The following are the punishable acts. Number 1, combination to prevent free competition in the market. 2, monopoly to restrain free competition in the market. 3, by a manufacturer, producer, or processor or importer who combines, conspires, or agrees with any person to make transactions prejudicial to lawful commerce or to increase the market price of merchandise. Kumbaga, ano ito siya, um, may mga bawal na i-concentrate lang yung market, no, or trading sa few people. So, dapat open siya to all. Any person na merong kakayahan, no, to conduct business, to conduct trade, dapat hindi sila i-prohibit. So, in order also to, para yung prices, hindi siya concentrated or hindi siya fixed lang by certain individuals or a certain group of people, no? Para mababa din yung prices, no? So, ito yung Article 186. Kasi kung may monopoliya, then walang choices or walang option yung mga people kung saan sila magbili ng mga goods nila. So, isa lang, di ba? Like, for example, kuryente. Wala tayong choice kasi isa lang yung supplier natin ng kuryente. Pero kung maraming mga options, kasi yung kuryente talaga monopoly yan eh. Isa lang, depende kasi sa government kung sino yung binibigyan ng franchise. Pero let's say for example, yung mga goods like bigas, yung mga basic needs natin. So, kung isa lang yung supplier natin ng bigas, most probably mahal yun kasi siya lang yung nagsusupply. Makokontrol niya yung pricing kasi wala siyang kalaban. But if there are many suppliers in the market, no, that can offer the same basic goods, then magkakaroon sila ng competition among themselves, no? Pababaan sila. So that will benefit the people. So magkaroon ng free competition. Pero kung kunyari yan sila mag-agree yan sila, mag-combination, mag-enter into agreement, no, na eto na place sa'yo ito, na area, dito ako na area. So, ganun pa rin yun. Monopoly pa rin yun. So, bawal pa rin. So, dapat free talaga yung competition. Hindi dapat natin, kumbaga, i-agree yung pricing natin. Hindi pwede siya. No? So, that is prohibited no, under Article 186. Example is cartel agreement among suppliers. No? People versus Tuban GR number L-15824, March 29, 1961. Here, the accused joined a rice cartel to raise market prices. Covered ba ito ng 186? The answer is yes, because it violates free market principles. Ito pala yung last article natin under Title 4, Importation and Disposition of Falsely Marked Articles. Yung mga fake products, no? Elements. The offender imports, sells, or disposes of any of those articles or merchandise made of gold, silver, other precious metals, or their alloys. The stamps, brands, or marks of those articles of merchandise fail to indicate the actual fineness or quality of said metals or alloys. Third, the offender knows that the SBM, meaning the ano ba yung SBM? Failed to indicate the actual fineness, ay stamp brand marks fail to indicate the actual fineness or quality of said metals or alloys. So, ang example niya dito, selling imported bags labeled as made in the Philippines, no? Siguro yung mga imported na goods na merong gold, silver, ganon. Tapos sabihin mo made in ano, iba yung brand or iba yung origin na sinabi mo. So, that is parang ano kasi yan, nagsisinungaling ka, di ba? So, People versus Teves, JR number L-19038, February 28, 2064. The accused here imported goods with false country of origin markings. So, is this punishable under Article 187? The answer is yes, because it deceives consumers and harms fair trade. Yung mga ano ba, yung mga nagbebenta ng kunyari ng bag tapos sabihin LV pero yun pala hindi naman pala LV, 'di ba? So ganon, mga fake, no? So that ends our discussion for Title 4, Crimes Against Public Interest.